I think of myself as a centrist. Of course, when I talk to somebody who's relatively militant, I look like a sellout. And when I talk to someone who's relatively conservative, I look like a, strike happy, whatever. So there is a dichotomy, though. I mean, we have had a one-party system for the last 4 years, so I tend to see it in terms of that party and their general philosophy toward how the Guild should operate. And we have a somewhat different philosophy, John Wells and Chris Kaiser and myself. And well, maybe I should talk about that for a second. The Writers United philosophy basically is that the fundamental relationship between writers and management is absolutely adversarial. That at any moment they have a pile of money, and they're right about this, they have a pile of money that they want to hold on to every penny of and want to give as few pennies as possible to writers. And that the only way to make sure that we're getting as many of those dollars as we can is to go on the attack and to go after specifically their revenue streams, because what they care about is money. So, we want to threaten, attack, damage their revenue streams through, most dramatically a strike, but also these corporate campaigns which they like, and litigation and lobbying and whatever tools we have. And that unless you do that to the fullest extent, which is the only way that you'll really know at the end of the day that you've gotten every dollar you can, then somehow you're too cozy with management or not sticking up for writers. And I understand the emotional appeal of that, because as writers, we just get, this won't go on network, I can say, is we just get shit on all the time, week after week, year after year. And so the idea of sort of collectively rising up to get our share is very appealing. But it's an inaccurate philosophy, and possibly a counterproductive one. Because as John and I and Chris all would tell you, and I think writers know on a micro level, the relationship between writers and management is always both adversarial and symbiotic. I mean, we all know that in our day-to-day dealings, whether we sell a script to a studio that they hope to make, or we go on a series, or whatever job we take, it starts out adversarially with a negotiation, right? And then there may be adversarial creative issues. And then down the road, there may be an adversarial situation over profits or residuals or something like that. But at the same time, we are coming together on an endeavor that we all want to be successful. And when we go into business with them, we go into business with them. And we all know on a micro level that it's only when that endeavor is successful and profitable for them that that's going to be profitable for us, not only on that job, but in the rest of our careers. Just as that's true on a micro level, that's true on a macro level as well. And when the business is hurting, writers hurt. And when the business does well, writers do well. And one thing which I think people don't even realize is that, but I'm sure of this, when the business does well, writers actually do disproportionately well. And when the business does badly, writers do disproportionately badly. And that's what we're feeling right now. And there's a reason for that. And that's that we're the R&D of the business. And that's the easiest thing to spend more on. In good times, you want more so that you can have the next hit. And in bad times, that's the thing you got to tighten on, because you just can't afford to be. I mean, production, yes, the number of shows goes up and down a little bit, number of movies goes up and down a little bit, how big the staffs are go up and down a little bit, but nothing like the way development budgets have been slashed in both television and in features, which then creates a downward pressure on all of the show deals and everything else. So the point of all that is that creating industry chaos, to the extent that that makes things worse in the business, hurts us more than it could possibly help. Okay, so does that mean that you don't go on strike? Does that mean, no, obviously when you need to, you need to, as anybody who talked to me or heard me during the strike knows. But it means that you try to go about it in the wisest way that you can to get what you need. and get things for writers through other means and use that as a last resort rather than just sort of a fallback position.